Hello everybody and welcome to the Daryl Talks podcast. Today we've got a great episode in store. You know when you were at school and you've got all the groups, so you've got the footballers, the rugby players, the musicians, the goths. Today my guest Paige, she was outside of all of those, and in my opinion she's become one of the most interesting people I know. So I just want to find out about some of her quirky hobbies and also, without further ado, welcome Paige.
Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for calling me the most interesting person you know. I think that's what you said anyway.
That's okay, I can cut that out. So before we start, I just want to go through a few icebreaker questions. First question is, if you could spend the day or have dinner with 3 people, famous, dead or alive, who would they be?
I was thinking about it earlier.
What, just in case I ask this question?
Yeah, of course. And I think one of them has to be Bowie.
Really?
Yeah, but he has to...
What version of him?
When he's the Goblin King, obviously.
Oh, okay,
from
that.
Labyrinth.
Ah.
And then I didn't get any further than that. Just me and Bowie at dinner would be really cool. I think maybe the Queen.
The Queen?
Yeah, Lizzie. I think it'd be really interesting. I don't know. I'd like to...
No, I think that's a great
see
choice.
what's going on in their brain. And then in the same vein, maybe David Attenborough.
Do you know what? I was thinking the other day, why hasn't anybody chosen David Attenborough
He's
yet?
just such an interesting person.
He
just talks nice.
He's got some good bits.
Yeah.
I'd like him to just sit beside me as I go to sleep at night.
Yeah, and just talk to me.
We have the common Daryl, often found here late at night.
Have a little snooze.
Yeah.
Off to dreamland. Yeah.
That's a good 3. Second question, what would be your go-to karaoke song?
Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit.
Really?
Yeah. I just think it's fun.
Do you know all the words?
Most of them, yeah.
So you wouldn't even have to look at the screen?
I might have to check because I get nervous and I start stumbling over my words. And also I'd never be in a situation where I'd be singing karaoke anyway.
Would you not?
No.
You're not a karaoke fan?
Absolutely not.
Not even after a few tipples?
No. I don't even like watching other people doing it.
Yeah, see, I don't like watching other people doing
And
it,
it's
but
just
I love doing it.
Really?
Yes.
Mhm.
Third and final question. What is your biggest ick? An ick is something that would really grate on you that might not grate on everyone else.
From where I'm from, Chichester, Bognor Regis area, there's this Sussex thing that some of the locals do, and it's not pronouncing the G in ing. So they'd be like, instead of, oh, I was thinking, they'd be like, I was thinking, or I was doing.
Oh, okay. And that grates on you.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. There was one person in my college class and he would do it every time. And every time he spoke, I'd be like, following afterwards, he'd be like, oh, I was thinking about doing this. And I'm like, thinking, doing.
You would correct him.
Just quietly to myself.
No, that's amazing. That's really funny.
I've been picking that up recently. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And now that I'm aware of it, I just said picking instead of picking.
Oh.
So I better watch myself or I'm going to give myself the ick.
We're going to get you. So let's get into it. The reason I've got you on is because I just find you so interesting. Because you're so quirky and you do lots of things that I didn't think I was interested, but I'm really interested to find out about them.
Fair enough.
So let's start at the beginning. Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Bognor Regis. I had a primary school and then a junior school.
That sounds posh.
It wasn't really. It was less years in one school.
Oh, okay.
So you do reception year 1, year 2 in primary, and then year 3 up to year 6 in junior, and then you went to, I call it high school, but everyone's like, oh, it's so American. No, it was called Chichester High School for Girls.
See, high school down here had to do the 11 plus.
Oh, really?
Yes. And also, I had 3 years in the same classroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Country bump. And what's it like in Bognor Regis? Doesn't sound very nice.
No, there's not much there. I know the history of it. I have this thing where whenever I'm living somewhere or I go somewhere, I do my best to find out the history behind the
That's
place.
nice.
I know useless facts
Come on.
about different areas.
I'd like a couple of interesting facts. Remember, there's people listening.
Of course, I'll try my best. Bognor Regis only got the Regis when
What
the
does
king,
that mean?
well, only royal people can bestow what Regis onto the end of something. You'll get like Bear Regis or Bognor Regis or Lyme Regis.
Yeah.
The king, can't remember which one it was, but he was really poorly in London. So he came down to the coast, went to Bognor and stayed in Bognor, and with the fresh sea air got better and was like, this is now a Regis.
No way.
Yeah.
That is quite cool, actually.
Yeah, it's all right.
I completely stand by that. The sea, air,
Yeah,
and all that, just
it's just different.
cold or warm,
Yeah.
it's just pleasant.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
And so what did you get up to?
Like when I was younger.
Yeah.
So my upbringing and also my generation,
Yes. So how old are you?
I'm 26.
So you were born in 1998?
Yes.
I made that sound like I didn't know, but I had already pre-planned that.
So when I was in school, I had a lot of access to the internet before all of the censorship came in.
No way.
So I was very much just chronically online as I was growing up. I get a lot of people now asking me where my accent is from, but I've lived in the UK, lived down south my whole life. But some people say I sound a little bit American.
Yeah.
And it's because I just grew up watching American TV on websites that may or may not have been legal, just constantly.
So just clarifying, are we talking about adult websites?
No.
Or
like
just streaming websites?
Streaming websites.
Sorry. Because when you said you were accessed before censorship.
There were things that I saw that I definitely shouldn't have seen. Have you seen the show, can I swear?
Yeah.
Don't Fuck with Cats?
Yes.
So you know the video that he did? I watched that on Facebook.
No way.
Yeah. And I didn't really know what was going on. I had no idea who this guy was. People were just sharing it. And I was like, ooh, what's this?
See, did you have dial-up internet?
I don't really know what you mean by
It goes like,
No, I
and you
did
weren't
not.
allowed on the house phone if you were on the internet.
But I remember going from video players to a DVD. And I remember going from a Nokia brick phone to the first ever iPhone and all of that kind of touchscreen stuff coming into play. I remember when the first iPad was released.
Yeah.
Never had one, but it was great. I actually saw an iPod Touch the other day. One of the old iPods with the touchscreen. So tiny.
Yeah.
It's actually so small.
At one point, everything got smaller. And then
I had a
it
little
started getting
nano.
bigger again.
Mm-hmm.
So it was odd.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting how you grew up, and I can remember those things, but as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the first iPhone.
Yeah.
Because I was over 18, so I could get a contract phone.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, I remember when
Yeah. I remember when it came out. I do remember when I got one, but that was when I was like in my little emo phase.
Oh, what? So you...
I have a lot of really cringy iPhone pictures, like with the hair and everything.
No way, like the sweeping fringe.
Brilliant. I think for me, the perfect emo fringe was Pete Wentz.
Oh, okay.
Fall Out Boy.
Yeah. I think there was a girl in school who was like obsessed with him.
Who wasn't?
I'm a very big Fall Out Boy fan. So how did you end up in that music?
In that sort of like area?
Yeah. Like,
actually, I do remember, I call it my gateway drug.
What does that mean?
It was the first ever song that I heard of that genre. I remember it clear as day. The moment that I heard, I know what I was doing, where I was in school. And as part of the IT class, they asked us to make these little music videos. So I decided to take it upon myself to pair up with my friend, and we were going to do like stop motion things. So like we would cut out just little props, and then we'd take pictures and crop them all together and
Yeah.
stuff. And she was doing Cooler Than You by Mike
Posner?
Posner, yeah, him.
You probably think you're cooler than me.
And I was going to do Fireflies by City.
Ugh.
But then in the suggested videos on YouTube, I saw Lost in Stereo by All Time Low. And I was
Okay.
like, what is this? I don't know what this is. I clicked on it and I listened, and like it starts coming in, and I remember thinking, wow, I need some more of this in my life. So we made a little music video for IT, and then I hopped onto the YouTube to MP3 converter and I started listening to like...
Other illegal downloads are available.
Yes. I started listening to All Time Low, Paramore, Yumi at 6. Then I very quickly shifted gear into things like Black Veil Brides, Asking Alexandria, Slipknot, like more of the heavier stuff.
What is it about it, though?
Can't remember what it was. I think at first, and this will probably surprise you seeing as I go to work wearing all black all the time,
Yes.
but it was so colourful.
Ah,
And I really liked that. I liked the bright colour hair and the bright green skinny jeans and the plaid tops and all of that.
nice. That does make sense.
Yeah.
Because it is a bit of a culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
But with the traditional stereotypes of an emo, and I'm sorry if that's not your... I don't want to put a label on you.
That's fine.
But it's depressing.
Yeah. A lot of people would be like, why are you emo? I don't understand. Doesn't that mean you're emotional? And I was like, well, everyone's emotional.
Yeah, you're getting
what we
emotional
are.
with me right now.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know.
It's just like a release for you. That.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm maybe going into this a little bit too deep. But do you think, because you come across quite a passive person, do you think that sort of music does the opposite? Because it's like,
probably.
Fuck you, man.
And like the screaming.
It's some sort of like inner monologue.
Maybe.
Escaping through music.
Maybe.
My God, did we just do
Check
therapy?
you out.
Did I cure you?
Yeah, I feel better now, thank you. I'll go home.
No, in all seriousness, I just find it really interesting because you've got a thing and you love almost everything within that, and I've never had that.
I just really enjoy music in general. Like I would be absolutely rubbish if I tried to make my own, but listening to it just makes me happy. I just can't explain it. So I'll find sometimes where if I'm away from home for a long period of time, a weekend, and I don't have my headphones with me or something, or I don't have 2 seconds to hide away and listen to some music, I'll start... my head will hurt.
Really?
Yeah. It sounds so crazy, but as soon as I'll maybe hide away in the bathroom and pretend to be using the toilet and listen to something, and I'll just feel better.
So it's just an escape.
Yeah.
And is that when you're feeling anxious?
Anytime.
Or you just feel the need?
Just any kind of mood, really. I find it difficult to do regular tasks without music sometimes.
Oh, fair enough. Do you go to a lot of gigs?
I did last year. It was like my New Year's resolution to see more live music, especially after COVID. I just felt really disconnected from anything that was going on. I felt very left out of things. So I was like, hang on, let me fix that. And I actually saw a lot of bands that I grew up listening to that way back then, when I was listening to them constantly, I would be like, I need to see this person live. But yeah, last year, I think it was last year, I took it upon myself to go and see these bands. There was just a lot.
You saw a lot.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of it, you enjoy live music. Because a lot of people have music or just live music or vice versa. So it's interesting that you enjoy both.
Yeah, I really like both because everything sounds a bit different when it's live, especially when you go, and I quite like Doja Cat, surprisingly, and I would really like to see her live because she has a band instead of whatever they do in the studio to make those noises. I really enjoy how she sounds. I've not seen her live, but I've seen videos, and I would really like to experience that. I think it is also seeing live music an experience more than anything.
Live music has become one with theatre almost, hasn't it?
And the visuals and
Yeah.
the outfits, the dancers.
Like
Not all of them had.
Absolutely. Secondary school, found your emo
Yes.
sort of way of life.
Yeah.
And what did you get into then?
You know how you started this by saying I didn't really belong to any group?
Yeah.
That's true. I did not. And my friends also didn't belong to any groups. So we just
Bunch of
joined
misfits.
forces. Yeah.
That's well cool.
Yeah. And it was a great time. I remember, I think, is it year 10 or year 11 when you take your GCSEs? I think it's year 11.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both.
And then you go off to college or sixth form. But we had a common room, and it was there to help us decompress and to be away from the younger students and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the groups of people would find their corners and whatnot. We didn't have a corner. There was a whole separate room that they shoved us into.
No way.
But we proper decked it out. We got sofas, tables, bean bags. And we would sit in there at lunchtime and talk about things like comic books, TV shows, Tumblr. I went to college and I did acting, which, funny story, going back to school just quickly.
Yeah.
For GCSEs.
Hold.
In school, when I was picking my GCSEs, I was very shy and I had dyslexia, and I'd written down to do art, and they thought I put act.
No.
So they put me in acting, and I was too shy to be like, hey,
oh, no.
I shouldn't be here. I wanted to do art. So I stuck with it. And then that led me into college, where I did acting for 3 years, and then eventually to uni, where I did theatre and performance. So...
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Do you think that was like a blessing in disguise?
Oh, yeah. You know when people say the universe has given you a sign, it's definitely... I think it was one of those. If I didn't do acting, I definitely wouldn't have been in Plymouth. I definitely would not have met my fiancé or any of the friends that I have now. I have no idea what I would be doing.
Yeah, you could have been an artist.
I could have been an artist, but I'd probably also be in Bognor Regis.
Yeah.
Let's weigh up the pros and cons. It's not very nice. I used to say walking down the high street, oh, it smells like cigarettes and depression.
Why did you choose Plymouth?
I wanted to get as far away from Bognor as possible.
Okay.
So I tried...
Headed for the sea.
Yeah, I wanted to be near the sea. I knew I wanted to do that because even though I don't appreciate it as much as I should, when I'm away from it, I'm like, where is the ocean?
Yeah.
Bring it to me now. So I auditioned at Staffordshire University staffs or staffs.
So did you have to go in like act?
Yeah. For Plymouth, I prepared an audition, really. I learnt a script.
What was the script? Do you remember?
I think it was Shakespeare, which is funny because I hate Shakespeare.
I only like the holding testicle bit. Is it Hamlet?
Yes, it is.
I've never been a big Shakespearean because it's all the dop.
Yeah.
Thou.
Yeah. I have a theory that women were actually writing the scripts, but because of the time, Shakespeare just put his name on it.
How? Go into a bit.
How?
Like,
it's just some of the stories. Romeo and Juliet, that was definitely a woman.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Is there anybody else that thinks that, or is it just you?
I don't know. Maybe.
No
Midsummer
way.
Night's Dream. And he didn't think of that. I'm telling you now, he did not think of that. He would not say a man did something that was weird, so then he got turned into an arse, a donkey. That wouldn't happen. You can't tell me that would happen.
So you think he was the face of...
Yeah.
Possibly...
Similar to Frankenstein, the story.
Mm.
Mary Shelley, I think her name is. I have to double check that.
Mm.
A bunch of her friends basically got together, and I think it was like a couples thing for fun. They were like, let's write a few stories. And she wrote Frankenstein. And because it was such an out there thing for a woman to be talking about this man...
Zombie people
bringing
yeah.
something back to life, they're like, no. So they published it under her husband's name, and later on it came out that she actually had written this book.
No way. So where did you learn that?
Which part?
Like the Frankenstein bit?
Oh, I have a keen interest in reading it. I've not read it yet, but I really loved the movie.
You were at uni?
Yes.
And you auditioned?
Yes.
So what happened after your auditions? Did you not get the one you wanted and ended up in Plymouth?
I got unconditionals from both Plymouth and Staff's uni.
Staff's?
Staffordshire.
Oh, okay.
Up in Stoke-on-Trent.
Wow.
Let's just
Bognor
absorb
Regis
that for a minute.
to Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah.
Girl's a traveller.
And then I weighed up my options, really. Plymouth just completely knocked Stoke-on-Trent out of the park, surprisingly.
Yeah, I think Plymouth gets such a hard time.
Yeah.
But when I think of my favourite parts in Plymouth, like the Hoe, the Barbican, it's amazing. It's incredible. And if you're into your history and stuff, there is bundles
so
of history. Like you can literally drive around the Navy base, like with all there is a wall separating you.
Yeah. Actually, in the uni campus, if you're walking around there for any reason at all and you see a drain cover that's spray painted yellow, those were actually bomb shelters.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got the bombed out church.
Yeah.
And it's just
so much around.
I do think it's given a hard time.
Yeah.
But like anywhere, it's got some fantastic places. What would you say was like the best memories of uni then?
It's a bit difficult to remember, to be honest. We were out quite a lot.
Freshers.
Yeah.
Every year.
Actually, I stayed pretty sober through freshers. I got really poorly. I got freshers flu. It's horrendous if you've ever experienced.
So me and a friend, we used to make sure we went out.
Oh, really?
On freshers weekend.
Yeah.
Because we were being paid.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked like dons.
Yeah.
And the drinks were really cheap.
Yeah. I do miss that.
Yeah. But what was it, just the socialness and the going out? And
I think so. It was my first real experience of nightlife and just being around people who wanted to hang out, even outside of drinking. Yeah, and I learned a lot about their courses as well.
Oh, nice. So how come you didn't carry on with drama?
It's just a really difficult industry.
Especially down in Plymouth.
Yes. Plymouth is really big for theatre and just performing arts. They said if you were to rate it, obviously London is the to-be place. Bristol
or not to be.
Next. Bristol would be next, and then it would be Plymouth.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's supposed to be a bit weird up.
Yeah.
No way. I never knew that. This is me going all dramatic. So, when you finished uni, did you get your degree? What does one do a dissertation in drama?
I did mine on the circus, avant-garde and cabaret.
Could you go into a little bit more detail, please?
Circus obviously was your high top.
I wanted to be in the circus when I was younger.
I still want to be in the circus.
Yeah, I think now I'm more likely to be the big fat guy off The Greatest Showman.
The strong man.
No, the heaviest man. So could you do any of those?
I wanted to learn, but I don't have a lot of upper body strength and you need a lot of that. And then the avant-garde, where it originated in Europe, I think it was France.
Du Soleil?
Yeah, it was like post-dramatic stuff. If you were to take a piece of theatre and then you've got the beginning, the middle and the end, and then you just muddled it up a little bit, that would technically be avant-garde.
Oh, okay. Like Picasso for theatre?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Do you know what? I impress myself sometimes.
Yeah. And then cabaret was like where it starts getting a little bit raunchier with like the can and...
What's the famous film Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, that's cabaret.
And what's the type of things that they wear? It's a type of clothing.
Like
burlesque.
Yeah, with the feathers and the tassels and
Yeah.
So my dissertation was basically how they all relate to one another, and it started in the avant-garde, and then it went into cabaret, and then from cabaret it went into circus, and it followed from like a woman's perspective, because way back when, women couldn't even do PE, lunges in PE, because it would be like separating the legs. They couldn't do things that would involve straddling anything, and I wanted to explore how they all related to each other, because cabaret was popular from the canon where women were lifting up their skirts and kicking their legs around. And in my opinion, you can't have cabaret without avant-garde.
So interesting. So it all ties in. And also, I noticed that when I think of circus, there could be a link with the colour that you found so attractive in emo punk and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Or even like you could go even deeper with clown makeup.
Yeah.
And the whole
I was going to say that, but I didn't know whether it was too far.
No, I fully understand it. Like I remember watching tutorials on YouTube on how to do emo makeup, and
really,
you want to do this to avoid looking very clown-like. So I don't know, maybe I was conditioned.
Yeah. And then again, like cabaret, that was very like red cheeked.
Yeah.
A lot of blusher.
Blush, yeah.
It was powders and blusher, wasn't it? It's weird how it all sort of ties in.
Yeah.
But then you decided not to carry on afterwards?
Yes. I think sometimes when you do something so much, you start hating it.
I totally.
And you study it and your lecturers are a bit crap.
What? So you just, do you know what? That chapter's done.
I'd love to go back into it. And my whole game plan after leaving uni was to save up money and buy a warehouse, an empty warehouse, which would then be used as a creative space, a performing space, somewhere to rent out to other companies, somewhere to do set design, costume design.
Nice.
Yeah, but obviously you need a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting it in my little mortgage job. So, yeah. And also I finished uni right at the beginning or the beginning of COVID. So everything was shut. Money wasn't moving anywhere. No one was doing anything creative.
That must have been a tough time for that world, actually.
Yeah. Even the government was putting out posters of ballerinas taking off their shoes and putting on working boots and basically saying that's not a real job. In a way, I feel like I had to grow up again and like just be like, it was fun and I've learned a lot of skills. I've done a lot of the stuff that I already wanted to do, but if it's going to happen, it will happen.
Would you still consider yourself shy?
Sometimes. I wouldn't say I'm like the most outgoing person in the room. If there's a personality that's louder than me, I'll be quiet because I don't want to like outdo anyone.
Yeah,
if you want to talk to me, we'll talk. And if we have similar interests or anything in common, or I'm interested in something you do, or you're interested in something I do, I'll talk until the cows come home.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I get that.
I wouldn't walk into the room and be the loudest personality.
Yeah.
And I'm happy and comfortable with that.
It's really nice. Sometimes I would love to be that person, but as soon as I walk into a room, I've forgotten about wanting to be that person. Because I'm too busy like, hello, everyone.
But that's just how you are.
Yeah.
Whereas I can be, I don't want to say introverted.
I think you're a bit of a chameleon.
Yeah, very adaptable.
Yeah, my lord.
Yeah.
Do you believe in all that stuff?
Yes, I do.
Oh my God, let's talk astrology then.
Let's talk astrology.
Right. What do you believe?
I believe that there is a certain kind of science about it, yeah, if you're born in December and you're born in the darker months, days are shorter, you're going to inhibit, is that the word?
Maybe. We'll go with it, though.
Certain types of traits as you get older. It's just science and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I do think with the stars, especially with the moon affects a tide. It has physical effects on literal planet Earth.
Yeah.
What's to say that's not going to have an effect on someone's psyche?
So do you think that you're born,
Mm.
there's a bit inside that
Mm-hmm.
that being that, regardless of anything that happens, will still end up being that sort of personality?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I think
Sorry,
so.
I don't know whether I worded that correctly,
Yeah,
but I wasn't
trying to
I hadn't
process it in
planned
my
on
head.
asking questions. What I'm basically saying is, regardless of the nurture debate,
Mm-hmm.
there is an element
There's always
of
nature.
that
Yeah.
nature is like a little seed inside that will always grow,
Yeah.
regardless of the nurture.
Yeah, I think so.
No way.
I do think so. And if you want to get into it all deeper, I do also believe in like past life and all of that kind of stuff.
Past life?
Yeah.
Previous life?
Mm-hmm.
What about next life?
I believe in that too. And this may be controversial to some.
Okay.
I don't believe in like heaven and hell and all of that stuff. I do think there is something after.
I think that's perfectly normal to not believe in something, and this is an open forum.
Oh, and I just want to clarify about astrology.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I wake up every day and look at my horoscope to decide how I'm going to be
because
that day.
I wasn't done with the astrology.
Yeah.
So where those things lie,
Mm-hmm.
they are built on constellations.
Yes.
What is the connection, do you think? I'm just trying to get my head around it. So though that shape of stars in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
what does that have to do with your personality type? And please don't think I'm trying to poo-poo you. I genuinely want to understand.
So it's all to do with the time you're born and the day that you're born on and where in the world you're born. And it's basically to do with what night sky you're born under or what sky you're born under, regardless. So it's like just what's above you.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
And I think, I don't know.
So that's just where the name comes from, effectively. Is that sort of right? So the horoscopes thing, well, Mystic Meg.
Good old Mystic Meg.
Where does horoscope?
Where does it come from?
Yeah.
So basically somebody somehow finds the time in the day to read the stars and the alignments and everything
That are currently up there.
Yeah, so if you imagine the night sky in a big circle.
Yeah.
It's then divided up into what they call houses. I tried to learn more about this.
Appreciate, and I think everyone will appreciate that you're not an expert. We just stumbled upon this part of the conversation that I'm extremely interested in, and now I'm interrogating.
Yes, that's fine. I think there's 12 houses, and they all have precedence over a certain type of your personality.
See, I always come out as Hufflepuff.
I'm a Slytherin. So they'll look at the planets and the star constellations and see where they sit in those houses for that day. And they'll say, because of this, you might feel like that today.
Wow. But with the fortune telling bit, that's where it loses me, because everything could apply. I could be a Gemini if I read that and go, that's me.
Exactly. So like it's the fortune teller, the horoscopes, all of that stuff.
Yeah. But the if you were to read into the Gemini personality type, and do you believe that like a Gemini matches a Sagittarius or whatever that sort of stuff is?
I think that's a load of caca.
I like the fact that you've picked elements that you like.
Yeah.
Because I'm like that with religion.
Yeah.
There's something in every religion that if I could pick bits of and create my own.
What would you call it?
Daryl Talks. Absolutely. So what were we saying before that? Also, You mentioned something earlier
Mm,
where you're a twin.
yes.
I've got some questions.
Come on then. I know it's been eating you up.
It really has. Really has. And I was just waiting for you to bring it up
Mhm.
so that it became like a natural part of the
Mm,
conversation. So you've got a twin.
yes.
And do you think you're the evil one?
I get this question a lot,
Yeah.
actually. Maybe. There's always an evil one and there's a mean one. And there is a difference.
Oh? So do you think you have bad intentions?
But then I also wouldn't say that my sister does either.
So we're still yet to see.
Yeah.
Watch this space, people. One of them's going jail.
Keep your eyes on the news.
Have you read much into the twin psychologies and stuff like that?
I can't remember what year it was in school. Junior school.
Mm.
It might have been year 4. But I had a teacher who suddenly took a massive interest in identical twins. We're identical, by the way.
I've seen photos, proper identical.
And she said to me one day, I was so young, but I just remember it. She went, "Did you know identical twins can do teeth transplants?"
What?
She was like, "So if I took a tooth out of your mouth now and stuck it in your sister's, it would take and it would be fine."
What an odd fact.
I was like, I'm really young.
So
I don't know how old I am, but I don't care.
I'm
I just
losing.
want my Lunchables.
I'm losing Ethan's in here. I think this isn't hard enough for me,
Yeah.
let alone giving them to my sister, who I shared a womb with.
Yeah.
Have I got to share
Yeah.
anything out? Is there any of that sort of psyche stuff like you can tell when she's down?
I would say when we were younger, we'd be like, yeah, we're connected. I know what she's thinking. But sometimes you do just get a feeling where you're like, she's popped up in my mind. I might go and text her and see how she is.
Yeah.
And she'll message me back and she'll be like, I'm actually having a really tough time right
Yeah.
now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a twin thing. But I cracked my skull when I was quite young. And I went to hospital for it and everything. But my sister slept through the entire thing. And she woke up in the morning and she said, I had a dream that you went to hospital in an ambulance last night.
No
And I
way.
was like, well, I did, but you were asleep. So how would you know?
Yeah, unless there was a part of her that could hear, I don't know.
Mm,
But yeah, I think that there's an element that you could put in that box of psyche stuff,
yeah.
or you could, like, it's perfectly normal for you to think of your
Yeah.
sister every
Yeah.
now and again.
But when you spend so much time with someone, like literally from the womb,
Yeah.
you're going to have those extra.
Oh, it's a bond, isn't it? That's almost unbreakable, but I've seen
Yeah.
Parent Trap. Yeah, Lindsay
Mm.
Lohan in the good old days.
The good old days when she was piercing her ears on apples and stuff.
Did you watch that film and be like,
No.
oh,
It's really strange because when you are a twin, you don't really think about it.
so do you look at Chloe
Mm.
and can you see yourself, or do you see so many differences?
She's just a different person to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at her and I'm like, oh yeah, I look like her as well. And if she's wearing something I like, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that's going to look good on me too because we look the same. Yeah. Another weird twin fact, because we are so identical. I don't know what the test is called or when they do it, but we are genetically 98% the same.
No way.
Yeah, so if she was to have a child, my DNA would match that child's as
No
well.
way.
Yeah.
So you'll almost be like a mother.
Yeah. Without being a mother. How
Wow.
great is that?
That is incredible. And so you're marrying
Mm,
another twin.
I am.
Was that planned?
No.
No?
No. When I first met him, my dearest Thomas, didn't know he was a twin. I might be lying to you. I'm pretty sure I didn't know he was a twin. And then I think it was one of those moments where I just dropped in, oh yeah, I'm a twin. And he went, I'm a twin. And I was like, ugh, weirdo.
And he's also an identical twin, isn't he?
Yes, but they never had the test. So they don't know how similar they are. But you can tell by looking at them, they are definitely twins.
Yeah. And have you ever tried getting Tom's brother introduced to Chloe?
No. That would just be
A
weird.
bit. So I told Liz this last night,
Mm.
and she's like, is that incest? Is it like a bit incest?
It's just weird.
The whole children thing, because that has happened. It was on the news recently, where they've like basically got cousin brother
Ugh.
dads, and even though you can't pick who you love, but
Maybe just
there's
be a little
one
bit
thing
more
being,
careful.
be a bit more original.
Yeah.
You know, someone started it.
Yeah.
Somebody copied.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Fair enough. So I want to talk about some of your other hobbies. You do Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, I do a little bit of D&D.
D&D?
Yeah.
What the hip people call it. Explain, and I appreciate that you're not like a super knowledgeable, don't know what, is there a term?
I don't know. It's very fun.
Could you give us an overview of what Dungeons and Dragons
Sure.
is?
So I've been playing it for 2 years now.
But you're quite like fresh.
Yeah, I'm still very fresh. So basically it's a tabletop role-playing game. You create a character. Anything within reason, there's a book. You can
An
pull
original
up.
book.
There is a book.
Big is the book.
There's multiple, so it depends which one you're looking at.
Okay. And you just got to pick one out there.
That will help you build a character.
What?
Like your base ones would be Rogue, which is your little thief. Barbarian, which is your tank. The one that's really strong and gets hit.
So what is this world then? Is it a world?
It depends. It depends on what they call a dungeon master, and I hate that. So we're going to call them a DM.
Oh, a DM.
Yes. And they
Bit odd when you slide into a DM though, isn't it?
Well, GM then, which is Games Master. But basically they will come to the group with a story, which will have a pre-built world. Either they've built it or they got it from the masses amount of content that there is out there. A storyline and basically a goal. And then what every individual player does is they will build their character, and it's down to the DM to make them fit into the storyline.
Oh, so
that they need to do.
So the GM already knows what characters are going to be turning up, basically.
To a degree.
Is it their job to improvise?
It's their job to improvise. So you can go into something with a plan.
Yeah.
And then one of the members of the group will be like, no, I'm going to do this. And then the DM's not prepared for that. So they would improvise, either getting everyone back on track or just going completely off script.
So how do you win?
You just kill a load of monsters, get a load of treasure. And the way to do that is by rolling dice.
So it's a tabletop dice
role-playing game.
I think you'd need to do a whole episode on Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a very big world, and I've only scratched the surface.
A group of you get together.
Yes.
And, I don't think it's particularly big down here, but worldwide, it is massive, isn't it?
You'd be surprised at the amount of people that are playing it in Plymouth. If you can find a group, you'd be lucky if they have an opening.
Really?
Yeah.
I suppose once you're in it, it's hard getting out of the group, isn't it?
I believe they call it ghosting.
You just ghost.
It's not the polite way to do it.
Fair enough. And are there goodies and baddies?
Yes.
Is a drow a goodie or a baddie?
Depends who's playing them.
So you can choose your own,
Yeah.
So could you just be like a knob the entire game?
Yeah.
And doesn't that get really annoying?
Yes, it does. Very much.
And do you dress up for it?
No.
No?
Some people do. We never have.
No, fair.
The people I play with are a bunch of old work friends, and a lot of them, I think one of them's a parent, two of them are normally your football lads. One of them is two of them probably are even nerdier than I am. They could tell you anything about D&D. They're the ones to talk to.
Yeah.
And then me and Tom.
Nice. Yeah. So you do it as a couple?
Yeah.
So another thing that you are mad on is films.
Yes.
So you're you've got the highest season pass.
Cineworld card.
Yeah.
My Cineworld Unlimited card.
Do they know you by name in there now?
No, not
They're
yet.
like
I think they're
high-fiving.
familiar with me, though. There's a few of them that I see every time that I go, and they're like, don't talk to me. Yeah.
And you've been to the cinema by yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, and took myself on a little date.
That's lovely.
It was really fun. I had a great time.
But you did.
I think I woke up early. I got myself to the cinema for a screening at 10 a.m. So I bought myself a large coffee and I went and I sat down and I had a great little
Oh
time.
my God.
Yeah.
So, do you have favourite films?
Films that I'd happily watch by myself, and then films that I want to watch with people. So like I love horror, but I would not go and watch a horror film in the cinema by myself.
So the reason I'm asking you these questions is because I know of like how often and how regularly you see new films.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be like generic, but I feel like it's more interesting that you have an opinion on films because whereas as me, I go cinema less than once a year, but you're like up to date with the cinema. What would you say is a film that you would quite happily watch over and over again by yourself?
One that I watched recently, I literally watched it on Friday, The Wild Robot.
Okay.
It's a kid's film. It's literally rated U.
Yeah.
It's based off of a book. It's animated. I believe it's DreamWorks. So good. I cried in the cinema.
Oh.
And I was holding it together as well. If I watched it in the comfort of my own home,
you would just go
sobbing.
to town on it.
Yeah. And I walked out of there with a puffy face. So it's not in everything.
Oh, you paint a beautiful picture.
Thank you.
And have you ever thought about like blogging films and stuff like that? Because you get like so unfortunately you won't be able to see this, listener, but she's like getting so passionate about it.
I do. I don't know. Like, I think when it comes to writing anything, I always hit the hurdle of being dyslexic, and the thought of
imagine if there was a platform where you didn't have to write.
Yeah, I know.
That you could just
sit and yap. So crazy. But then I also think he wants to listen to me. Little old me.
Oh,
everyone wants to listen to you, Daryl.
No,
I've made them listen.
Yeah, it's borderline dictatorship.
You will listen to this.
I've got through life by constant badgering.
Good, it's working.
But no, I'd love to find out what you think about films and like your take on them.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of personalities in that space, and if you don't know the ins and outs.
What's your opinion on book to film?
They never get it right.
Yeah.
It's infuriating, actually, because the source material is right there, and it's filled with everything you could ever possibly want, but people just go adding bits that they don't need to.
Is there any...
Sometimes it's needed for plot development, but the book did it just fine.
What are you talking about right now?
Growing up, the first series of books that I read was The Mortal Instruments.
Right.
It was then turned into a film, which flopped big time. And then it was turned into a TV show called Shadowhunters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were books.
No way.
And it just is nowhere near the source material. Even Marvel, I really like comics as well. And yeah, there's loads of different universes and whatnot, but sometimes the source material's right there. Come on.
Their interpretation of it.
If you wanted something fresh and new, come up with a character that's fresh and new. Do a whole entire plot that's fresh and new. You don't need to take these characters that are well loved and this storyline that's well loved and twist it to be a certain way.
Yeah, see, I think that's where you get the OG comic book lovers take on it. But for someone like me that didn't read those comics, I've just got these cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I get it from both sides, if that makes sense. I proper sit on the fence
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple of books like Gone Girl,
Yeah.
the most amazing book.
I still need to read that.
The film, I felt, didn't do it justice. I felt
Yeah.
like there was some key details that were missed out.
Yeah.
And that hurt my soul.
That really upset me.
What to summarise for you and for the listeners as well is that for someone who classed themselves as an outsider, you are like, I like how you...
It's right there.
I think of the right wording for it. Like, you like what you like and you just run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so refreshing.
Thank you.
Very refreshing.
I learned at a very young age that it doesn't really matter what everyone else thinks. Just do what makes you happy, within reason.
Yes.
If you're going around hurting people, don't. If you like something, what's stopping you from enjoying it?
Thank you, Paige. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I've got so many more questions. We could have talked for hours and hours because of how many questions I've got to ask you. But we don't have time, so maybe we will do a follow-up one.
Perhaps.
There we have it. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'm sure you're going to have lots of questions. Feel free to pop them in a message to me, pop them in an email. But most of all, please keep sharing this series. It has been so good so far, and I really appreciate it to everyone that's listened. So until next time, cheers.